You say we all start this, get a little bit more organic, huh? The rug is fluffy, I learned in practice. So, 1 second. There it is. Awesome. So I'm Mike. Just like all of you guys, I'm an artist. You see, art has the ability to gain inspiration and momentum from life's imperfections and its hindrances, and from there has the ability to outwardly portray it as beauty. And so do all of you. So everybody in this room, and on this planet, in our species, has some sort of hindrance, some sort of imperfection or problem that creates an individualized obstacle that nobody else ever seems to experience or understand the way we do. And that's because nobody sees, hears, tastes, touches, or feels the world the way we do. And you see, how we deal with this problem, this imperfection, this hindrance, becomes our own form of art. And just like art, there's no right way to create. There's no right way to be beauty. You simply are. It simply is. Because it's all perspective. And something that may at first seem like a tribulation or an inconsistency will, turn into a gift later on in life or an advantage once the vantage point changes, once the perspective changes, once you realize that within that difficulty, there may be grace in the details. Take me, for example. For an outward perspective, I appear to be a severe form of physical impairment. Hands are different. My arms are different. I can't reach them above my head or bend over and tie my shoes. And I've recently learned, as of this morning, that no matter how much yoga I do, I can't do a headstand. It really bothers me, Okay, I digress. Because my lack of mobility, my lack of flexibility, or anything, has advantages in other aspects of my life. For example, I should probably start from the beginning. When I was 3 years old, I was riding my bike in a neighbor's garage when a faulty water heater exploded. I was only a few feet in front of it. The experts called it a flash fire. In that split second of instant heat, my body was doused in second and third degree burns in over 95% of it. I was rushed to the hospital, Shriners Hospital in Boston, and I spent the better part of the next 6 months inside of a tiny plastic bubble I called the jellyfish, away from the world, away from human hands, away from the sterile hospital environment that could have killed me. And you see, in those 6 months, doctors informed my parents that I had second and third degree burns over 95% of my body, and that if I survived, things would be different. Everything I'd have to do differently. I don't know if I'd be able to walk, be able to feed myself, tie my shoes. I don't think they mentioned headstands or yoga, but let's forget about that and keep on moving. Over the course of those 6 months, I had 25 surgeries. Over the course of the next 20 years, I had 75, tripled. And I won't lie to you. I won't sit up here and try to, trick you. Everything has been different. I've done everything differently because I've had to. But time and science have shown us that the human condition is to adapt. And adaptation is the key to life. So through my lack of mobility, my movements, I learned to bend my ankle 180 degrees. So I can bend down and pick things up. I learned to bend my knee, same way. Bend down. I'm not doing yoga, don't worry. Anyway, so this grace in the detail has not only helped my golf game, which I'll get to in a second, but all other aspects of my life. Let's picture me after the surgeries, for all 75 of them. That's for first 25. This is all 75 of them. But, see, my parents found it important that I grow up in a normal setting. And by that I mean, I didn't just have surgeries all the time, because I'd probably be the only 25-year-old 8th grader in existence. But I'd probably be cool. I could go drive and buy drinks at recess and stuff. But anyway, so I'd have surgeries in summer break, winter break, spring break. So I viewed my time at school growing up as vacation. And on vacation, you do things that are fun. You play soccer, football, basketball, hockey. There was one thing that kind of wrote me in and held on to my heart a little bit, the way that things like love do. And it takes a lot of time to think about them and what it is you love about them once you realize what it is. I guess nothing's changed. I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out about the golf game, what it is. But I was watching my grandfather and my dad hit golf balls in the backyard one day. And there's something about it, something about that fluidity they had. Where the lower body worked with the upper body, worked with the hands, and made one fluid movement back and through. And with the golf ball would kind of shoot in the air. I wanted to run out and chase it. It sounded like a puppy kind of, but we're going to forget about that too. So I kind of watched, I ran over and I asked, teach me how to play. How do I do this? It became apparent pretty much from its onset that I was never going to be able to play golf because the first foundation they teach you is the grip. So I did what I still do today, and I let my inner book nerd take over. I went home and I read every single piece of literature I could find on the golf swing and golfers and the fundamentals of the swing, the golf grip, what each finger did, what, the swing plane, the swing path, and how the body worked with the mind, worked with the hands and all this, and it all led me down the same road where I realized I could definitely not play golf. And today, as a golf professional, I'll be the first to tell you that fundamentals, which I teach all my students, should be learned, never abided by, because they only get you a certain degree of success. So I backed up a little bit and kind of let every sensory experience I'd ever thought, felt, or heard kind of fill me, And I tried to think of what I could do to get by this golf game, get by this grip, get into golf and be a part of it. And the first thing I thought about for some reason was a hockey player. I didn't play hockey, but that's what filled my mind. I remember when I think about a hockey player and the way they'd take a face-off. They'd kind of bend down and reach over and kind of get after it with I don't think they moved their hips like that, but they probably fought for the puck with the face-off with the hand over. And I thought, it's unconventional. It's certainly weird, but I can do it. It's mine. I went out in the backyard and I started tinkering. And I realized that the same lack of motion in my upper body and my lower body that held me back doing so many things in my life had grace in the detail when it came to my golf swing. So I realized that after hitting 1,200 golf balls a day, 1,000 golf balls a day, that when I brought the club back, I started building my swing, the lack of mobility kind of kept my swing on plane. I couldn't come over the top and slice the ball or come inside and hook it because my body wouldn't let it. So I was able to make a nice repetitive motion back and through almost every time, hit the ball straighter. And you see, I don't have the same swing as a lot of pros, or anyone else on earth, actually. And the thing about it is that this same leg, this same ninja knee, we'll call it, lets me kind of come through and use it as a loading point to store all my kinetic energy. And I spin through, as you see in the bottom right, and I finish with my belt buckle pointed left. I'm on the right, just in case you guys didn't know. That model guy on the left isn't me, but just want to point that out. It's Adam Scott, and he has one of the best golf swings in the game. See his posture points and his knees and his ankles, the way he finishes his belt buckle towards target. It's perfect. Textbook. You got me on the right. It's a bit different. It's the way my leg kind of twists through at impact, and I finish with my belt buckle almost 200 degrees past center. And what that does is it makes up for my lack of backswing with a full follow-through. So I built this swing, and I played in high school, and I was okay. I was never that good, but I was good enough to compete. And the thing was that I realized pretty much halfway through that for me to play at the level I wanted to, I had to kind of have the tools for the job. Everyone always says it's the Indian, not the arrow. It was the frickin' arrows, okay? It was the arrows. All in high school, I played stand-to-length golf clubs, so I'd bend down like this, and I'd tweak my back and try to grind through. Never worked. I still have back problems. And I never had a glove because they don't make gloves in this size. So when I go into the store, they didn't have any. So I tried women's gloves and kids' gloves, and I'd chop the fingers off, and I'd tape it through this and that. None of it worked, so I could only play like 2-3 times a week because my hands would be covered in blisters. Because the human body has 8 layers of skin, I believe, and I only have 1. So I'd get blisters all the time from my burns. I'd have to go in the house and fill Ziploc bags with cream and kind of sleep with them on so they'd be supple enough in the morning to hold a pencil. It's tough. So I started reaching out to golf companies, and I said, I got this idea, and I want to make a glove or a longer club to kind of let me access those posture points. And I got, so many rejections. I got, we don't like the way the clubs look, or too unconventional, it's impossible. And I guess it was at the time. Then I got a phone call from Titleist in FootJoy, their apparel company, and they invited me down to their headquarters the next day. I was so stoked. I was all pumped. Drive down there 100 miles an hour, all excited. And over the next several weeks, prototype after prototype, they built a golf club this size. And that golf glove to this day hasn't given me any blisters. I still play it today. And then following that, next several weeks, prototype after prototype, they built golf clubs with longer shafts to accentuate my body and allow me to reach those posture points and kind of come through the ball standing up more, which increases club head speed exponentially. And it's allowed me to play at the level I want to. Of course, with golf, it's a paradox, because the better you get, the more you realize how much work you have to do to get to the next level, and you're probably not going to get there. So it's still a work in progress. But it allowed me to get there, and allowed me to, play in big events and play all the time. And again, the puppy reference with the play thing is not working here. But so it allowed me to play, and if I didn't do that, I kind of wonder who I'd be or what I'd do, because this whole experience for just golf alone has transcended all other aspects of my life. You see, for here example, in the left hand, you see the influence the golf grip took over it. Same course of action. Couldn't reach underneath or finger the chords, so I put my hand over the top. And I read all the books, the book nerd. I read all the books on music theory I could possibly find, all the articles, and I read about the greats and what they did. And music theory still goes over my head to this day, so I'm not even going to get into that because I'll just sound like a fool. But I found out that there's two forms of music that are called triads and arpeggios. And what they would do, I'll show you on the piano in a second, they allow me to access a form of music that I've never heard or seen before, because it's kind of what most people play in one hand. So what I do with the triad or the guitar is I would tune the guitar differently. Alternative tunings that allowed me to get a triad, which is 3 notes, in the left hand. It allowed me to finger them with these 3 fingers. So that kind of lets me get kind of the full sound of a chord instead of just one note at a time. I'll show you in a second. And this piano, which you'll see here, was just a monster of a mess here. So this was the same thing when it came to the arpeggios and the triads, was that I could play 3 notes at the same time, but often not with the same hand. So what I would do, you see here, make it easy for you guys, all the white keys are the C major scale, all the white ones. So the scale is made up of octaves, several octaves of the C major scale, and the C major chord in the C major scale, as you'll see on the monitor here, is the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th note of the scale. So a C, an E, and a G. That makes an arpeggio. 3 notes separated. Now to play them together would be a major chord. But I can't reach with one hand, and it leaves the whole left hand kind of doing nothing. So what I tend to do is I split them. And I play the triad in an arpeggio, but I play the C note down here. So a C note in here is the same form of chord, so a C major chord is a C, an E, and a G. So I'll play the C down here, E, G up here, and we'll arpeggiate them. All right? Back down a little, get a little rhythm. And then we'll open up the scale a little bit and explore and see what it sounds like. You get something like that. Thank you. Thank you. It's something like that. You guys are too kind, too kind. One of my favorite paradoxes has always been, when you look at a piano and you see the black and the white keys juxtaposed like that, everyone's always seen the same thing. See the black and the white keys together, the piano keys, the ivory, the 88 of them. Then you get guys like Mozart and Beethoven and Bach who saw the same thing. Piano doesn't change. They've always seen the same thing, but they saw through them. They saw symphonies, the potential to create something. They saw the potential rather than the surface. And you see, it's something I think that the world tends to often forget. And I don't think anyone would disagree with me if I said the world spins fast, and life often moves even faster. But as the world spins, we tend to stumble through all sorts of circumstances or personal disasters or little victories that all lead us down a road where we end up becoming ourselves. And while we become ourselves, it becomes apparent that nobody sees, hears, tastes, touches, or feels the world the way we do. And what we do and how we live, whether you become a lawyer or an accountant or a teacher or you make a damn good cup of coffee, becomes your own version of art. And where you gather true meaning in life, whether that's your art, it must always be remembered that to achieve the optimum success and transcend yourself, you need to be willing to break a paradigm of the past. To kind of step forward and realize that the fundamentals should often be learned to achieve any form of success or mastery. They're not answers or solutions. They're merely guiding points. As the world spins, again, but beneath us, spinning around and we're stumbling, where we gather true meaning is our art. And our own art will always be the still point in the ceaselessly spinning world beneath our feet. And as human beings, we have one job, and that's to create art, to be art. And the world needs art, and the world needs you. Thank you for listening to me.